Welcome back to the Morning Kickoff Show. I'm your host, Matt Witt, and today we are back to talk about a trade made by the Vikings and Las Vegas Raiders that they cannot lose. As of yesterday, according to Tom Pelissero, the Vikings have traded with the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders sending over quarterback Nick Mullens, who now should be our backup quarterback for the 2022-2023 season, for a conditional 7th-round draft pick. Now, the condition for the 7th-round draft pick is if he makes the roster. So, essentially, the Vikings cannot lose this trade. If Nick Mullens goes out on Saturday and absolutely drops the bag and looks terrible, and Kellen Mond comes out and ends up being our backup quarterback, we get to keep our 7th-round draft pick. So that is great news for us. Now we have a very competitive backup quarterback spot for a position that you will likely not get to see these players play. Now, me personally, I don't care as much about the backup quarterback spot as a lot of people on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere is, and Reddit and all the Vikings fans are. I'm more interested when it comes to these offensive line competing for it, but you gotta admit, it's fun to watch these quarterbacks. It's such an important position. So when listening to Kevin O'Connell's press conference, the reasons why he did bring in Nick Mullens was because his play style parallels Kirk Cousins. Watching Nick Mullens play, you'll basically say that this is Kirk Cousins without the arm. It doesn't have the arm strength, doesn't have the accuracy, but why this is good to have a backup quarterback that parallels your starting quarterback is if Kirk Cousins does go down with the injury, we wouldn't have to completely change our playbook like we would if Kellen Mond stepped out. So it's good to see that we have a quarterback that parallels Kirk Cousins. On top of this, he does have a relationship already with the team. Kwesi was with him when he was both the backup quarterback in Cleveland and San Francisco. So he does have a relationship with Kwesi as well. And then the biggest reason why Kevin O'Connell mentioned that why he brought in Nick Mullens was because Nick Mullens is a veteran quarterback, a much more experienced veteran quarterback than Sean Mannion, as he does have 17 starts in the league. In that 17 starts, though, he does have a 5-12 record. We'll set that aside for right now, as he is a backup quarterback, and we don't expect him to be our franchise guy anywhere in the future. But just I want to mention here because I see a lot on the internet, the quarterback spot is not over. Nick Mullens did not lock down the backup quarterback spot. He just added another competitor for the backup quarterback spot. As if going into this next game, Nick Mullens could look terrible and Kellen Mond could look great and win that quarterback 2 spot. We have 3 guys, the battle of the 3 M's right now with Mullens, Mond, and Mannion, all competing for this backup quarterback spot. It is not over yet. So essentially, the Vikings, like I said, cannot lose this trade. If Nick Mullens doesn't make the roster and we do end up sticking with Kellen Mond, we get to keep our 7th-round draft pick. So it's basically a win-win by just adding another competitor for the quarterback 2 spot for the Vikings. And more likely than not, Nick Mullens does end up being our backup. I mean, let's be honest, from what we've seen from Kellen Mond and Sean Mannion so far this preseason has not been great. I mean, just pulling up the stats for the guys, and I would just want to mention, again, stats do not tell the full story, okay? I only bring up stats after a game and saying, you must first watch the game. You learn more by simply watching the game than looking at the box scores. Do not look at box scores if you have not watched the games. But I am going to bring up stats to kind of continue to try to make points here. So, looking at the 3, comparing Kellen Mond, Nick Mullens, and Sean Mannion so far this preseason, Nick Mullens has the most completion percentage, the most passing yards, and the best touchdown to interception ratio out of the 3. Now, Nick Mullens, it's kind of unfair because he has played an extra game than the Vikings have, but again, he's also split snaps with 2 other guys, while Kellen Mond and Sean Mannion have 50-50 snaps. So they've played a similar amount of snap percentage of the percentage of the snaps on offense. Nick Mullens and that one touchdown was against our Vikings defense as well. So looking at this right now, it looks like Nick Mullens going to take the roster spot. And watching his tape as well, he doesn't look like he's going to be a starting quarterback anywhere in the future, but he does look light years better than Kellen Mond and Sean Mannion have looked the last 2 preseason games. And once again, I want to mention, the quarterback 2 spot is not locked down. I know according to looking at the stats and watching the tape, it looks like Nick Mullens going to be our backup quarterback, but we still have this position competing for this position in this upcoming matchup against the Broncos this Saturday. And you can't look at me in the eyes and tell me Kellen Mond cannot one day be a backup quarterback in the NFL. As of right now, it looks like he should be on a practice squad somewhere in the league and just needs to develop into the offense. I mean, even the first game of the preseason, we saw this player has the most mobility out of our quarterback room, and his accuracy is there. A lot of the times you did see Kellen Mond overthrow or underthrow the guys, it was just poorly timed. He threw the ball exactly where it was meant to go on the offense. And I would just suggest you continue to watch Kellen Mond's tape because this player, he has a long way to go from being a backup quarterback or starting quarterback. We'll have to wait and see. but his talent is there. And I just want to say that Kellen Mond is not done in the league. He was a third-round draft pick and doesn't look like it yet, but he could spend the next season on our practice squad or backup quarterback spot. I'm really curious to what you guys think is going to happen with Kellen Mond. I would suggest that the Vikings try to put him on the backup quarterback or on the practice squad if he does not make the quarterback 2 spot. If he does not go in a practice squad, he'll likely go somewhere else in the league, as he does have a long way to go, but you can see he has talent. So I'm super excited about this, a trade that the Vikings cannot lose, taking Nick Mullens. I'm not as big on the backup quarterback spot as a lot of people are. I mean, it's the quarterback, so it's going to get a lot of attention. I'm more interested on what's happening in the trenches for the Vikings, what's happening on our defensive and offensive line, because these are the players that we're going to see play in the regular season. Also, our secondary as well with Lewis Seen and obviously Cam Bynum and all these guys. We're going to see these guys play as well. So that's more where my focus is going to be, but still be ready for Nick Mullens. He's likely going to be our backup quarterback, and this is a trade the Vikings cannot lose. Let me know.